admit the guest.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook. How are y'all doing? Welcome to my session, Teaching the Art of Touch. What you will need today. Definitely open mind. I need y'all to listen and feel me today. Open mind, open heart, libations, something to write with. Good morning, Zoom. Maybe a journal. I'm gonna do like a critical thinking exercise. And let me give a trigger warning. A lot of what I'm talking about this morning may be triggering for some. If you are a person who was affected by any kind of sexual assault and you can't witness accounts of that or hear accounts of that, maybe you want to opt out of this session for today. A suggestion to watch the playback where you can watch it, at your own speed. And let's just hold space for each other. Like I always like to say, look at the boxes and make sure that everybody is okay. And come rock with me today. I'm taking a major leap with my Woo family. I love y'all so much. So again, the session is entitled Teaching the Art of Touch.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together.
Grand Rising Woo family. I have a piece of writing to share. And I want you guys to journal or write what comes up for you. My first love. We would meet in the hallway. I would hear the front door slam and sneak out our first floor apartment door. If it wasn't him, I'd act like I was getting something from the hall closet. But if it was him, it got to the point where words weren't even necessary. Our stares wouldn't even linger before he was reaching for the banister and leading me up the stairs. Those damn stairs would creak so loudly. I tried to keep up with his movements, make sure I only stepped up at the exact moment he stepped up, as not to make it appear that two people were trying to get up the stairs. Just one of the things he had taught me. Sometimes it felt like climbing Mount Everest, and it was that scary too, because at any moment, the people on the second floor could pop their heads out, or even worse, somebody could come looking for me and ask why I was going upstairs. But no one ever came looking. No one ever even noticed I was gone. The second set of stairs led to the two huge rooms in the attic that were so adequate in both size and condition that we rented them out. There was a small bathroom with a shower as well. These stairs were not carpeted like the first set and creaked even louder. After mastering and getting past those, we hoped that no one was in the common area going to or coming from the other bedroom or the bathroom, or just on the way out. Even worse was the pause at the door while he fumbled for his keys. Why did he never have his keys out? He had more to lose than I did, but I seemed to be more concerned. But we always made it up both set of stairs, past the bathroom, and through his door unnoticed every time. And before he could close the door behind him, he'd push me up against it, breathing heavily and grinding his already erect penis up against me. Then he'd come down to my eye level and kiss me like he was in love. He even nibbled on my earlobes and licked the inside of my ears and down my neck. He'd kiss me and kiss me while putting my hands down his pants. I liked cupping the soft part. It was hot and sticky. He didn't like that though. He'd push it through, moving back and forth sometimes, taking my hand and showing me what to do. I would do whatever he told me to. He would close his eyes and throw his head back, smiling, then grimacing with pleasure. I lived for those facial expressions. Never did I receive such approval or felt so validated. As his breathing got heavier and his moans louder, he would touch me in between my legs. If he touched the right spot, I would start to feel weak, but pleased. Eventually, he would move to his bed, and sometimes, if he touched the right spot, I would start to feel weak, but pleased. Eventually, we would move to his bed, and sometimes he would rub that spot until I would shiver. I would grimace from the pain. It hurt so good. It was such a weird feeling, but mostly he'd take his thing out and just rub it up against my belly. He never did take it though. When he had enough, he'd collapse on top of me for a few minutes, stroking my pigtails and kissing my face. Then he'd roll over. I'd go to the bathroom and wipe his essence off of my skin and out of my hair. He'd look me over, checking for any evidence of his sins before I made it back downstairs. I always wanted to kiss him before I left, and every time I did, he would laugh and shake his head. I guess in amazement of all this reciprocation. I guess in amazement of all this reciprocation from a 9-year-old. Grand Rising Wu family. My name is Martine Lissa Malivers. This is April, National Sexual Assault Awareness Month, National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And today I would like to acknowledge myself as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. Again, please hold space for everyone as we go through these topics. I wrote that piece because I always wanted to tell my story. And it's the first time I have ever shared that with anybody. I wrote it a very long time ago. And even reading it back, it scared me because sometimes I'm coming from the space of an adult recounting something, and sometimes I'm back in my childlike space describing things because it is something that's very hard for me. But I am an advocate of telling your story and being impactful when it comes to the issue of child sexual abuse, because it is prevalent, it is rampant. And I want to share my story with you. So I asked you guys to journal and tell me what came up for you. I really want you to sit for 2 minutes and critically think about all the things I said, where I was. I know that probably by the end, when I gave you the age, it was like, wow, where I was, but mostly how I was feeling and what I felt and what the experience was for me, what it meant to me, how I viewed it. So let's take a couple minutes, let's say 3 minutes, just to write that down, and I would like to get some shares.
You're muted, Martine.
Talking to Asha. I think y'all have 2 more minutes. About 30 more seconds. Okay. Who's ready to share? Any hands up?
This is Teresa. I'm ready to share.
Okay. And then I saw you raise your hand, Jacqueline. You can go after Teresa.
When I first came on, I was like, what the hell is she talking about? That's what I first said. And then I was like, a part of me felt like you was telling your story, but it was kind of confusing because it was like as if you were an adult and then it was like you was a child, like you said. It made me say, wow, that's deep, and that you were brave. It gave me a voice that possibly I could be able to share my story and help people know what's going on and how to prevent it. And I'm complete.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for your share. And I'm glad that it touched you like that, because that is definitely one of the goals. I think my story is different from most people. I'm not going to say most people who've experienced child sexual abuse, but most people who share. So those who maybe have a different type of experience might make it a little easier for them to share. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Jackie.
Good morning, my love.
Good morning.
Woo! That was hot and disgusting, as my friend would say at the same time, because I wrote something similar and she was like, oh my God. Normally a share that vivid would bring me to tears. Just going to read from what I wrote. And awaken rage within me. Today I could sit and listen with nothing but compassion and love for you, and remembered my own experience with my own molester. I can relate to you as a child, feeling validated and seen. I can relate to sexual desire being awakened in you at such an early age, the age when romance is so strong in a girl. My own experience started 3 years before I was 9, and more aware and was more aware of my body. I felt pleasure, but knew something was wrong. There were no kisses, just caresses of my asthmatic back or prickly heat before it advanced. And I'm complete.
Got me a lot of tears for me today, okay, y'all?
It's good. Let it out.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for bringing that up because you know, when I tell the story, even in this landmark thing that I've been in, when I tell the story, people are like, "Don't use the word molester. Don't use this. Don't use that." It triggers me. It's like I'm going to use the word I want to use. I'm going to use the word that I feel empowered with, and I don't care what anyone thinks about it. And I appreciate you sharing that because when I share my experience, a lot of people are like, "How can you get any pleasure out of what happened to you?" And you don't know. Your body betrays you. And if you're in love and you sound like you were feeling feelings of love or affection or something, and I didn't feel that for my molester since it was my stepfather. I just felt I don't even know what to say. What I felt. I felt protective of my mother. I wanted to keep her secrets. I didn't want anybody outside the house to know what was going on. I wanted her to look good.
Mhm.
And so I did what I had to do, or I felt I had to do at that time, which was to keep her secret, which I stopped keeping at the age of 19. And since I've been in contention with her ever since. And I love you. Thank you.
I love you more. So you said, so at what age was this and
I was in second grade, going into the second grade. My brother, who was 17, had just passed away. My mother was in another space. I don't know even if she wasn't in that space, if she wouldn't have done the same things that she did. I do believe that she had awareness and was blocking it out because when I got older, I found out that my older sisters, he had attempted with all of them, except for the oldest one who was already out of the house. And little by little, they left. And the one that was a year older than me, she sent to live with him when she sounded the alarm, which I was so happy she sounded the alarm because I thought my mother would have no choice but to get rid of him. And she didn't. She got rid of my sister instead. And so I really went in and became quiet because I didn't want my mother to get rid of me. So it's taken years for me to come to terms with that. And I get, you know, but I do remember being the middle. You could say I was the middle child because my mother had 8 children, but I was in the middle of 3 of the youngest, and I was not seen. Like nobody really paid attention to me that much. And so my older sister, she got all the attention from our father, who was no longer in the house. My younger brother was coddled by my mother, and I was just left out there on my own. I was Jackie, the strong one, you know. And when I had my little asthma attacks, he would come in and soothe me and rub my back if I was burning up from the heat, prickly heat. I used to hate heat. He would come put powder on me and everything like that. And this is after he had started because he did it when I was sleeping. So I'm thinking I'm dreaming. Didn't know till we moved from an apartment that we were in after my brother died into a house. And then I was, you know, I used to see the shadow come in my room and come out because I'm very nearsighted, very bad eyesight. So when I would wake up in the middle of the night feeling somebody touching me and my behind is up in the air, I didn't know who was doing that. And I would see the shadow run out of the room. So I thought it was my 17-year-old brother Gilbert. And that really broke my heart because that was the love of my life. I love my brother. So I was like, is he doing that? Is he doing that? And I'm not saying anything. Now, mind you, I'm in a room with 3 other people. That's how sneaky this man was. He would go in the bathroom and then come. But there was 3 other girls in that room. My bed was the most accessible. And so I had no idea what was going on until we got in the house and realized it was him all along. It was crazy. It went on for years. And by the time I turned 12, going on 13, and started to develop, he reached out to touch me when I was coming up from the basement one day. And I just told him, if you ever put your effing hands on me again, you're going to be under the jail. And at that point, it was a complete 180 for me because I was always this quiet, sweet, nice child. I became the biggest bitch of you ever wanted to meet. And I stayed that way for a very long time. So, and then I became very controlling in sexual relationships. And I'm complete.
thank you so much. Um, you, I'm telling you, you could do this session. Um, your experience, your level of understanding. You said a lot of things in the beginning about feeling validated. That's what really brought my tears, just being able to connect with somebody. Um, okay. Does anybody else have a burning share before we move on? Thank you so much, Jackie. And anybody from Facebook? I'll read this one that I saw come up from Kaisha. At first, I thought this was a story about a teenage love. I used to watch out for a boy I liked in my building and would do the same as was described in the beginning. I was not surprised when the story turned towards the end because it sounded like it was written from a child's perspective. That's from Kaisha Coachman. Thank you for your share. Yeah, one of the things that I definitely want to bring awareness about today is childhood sexuality and how it looks and the things that we are not taught. You know how they always say, oh, when you have a baby, it doesn't come with a manual. It's so true. One of the things that I always encourage parents to do is to study child development, because there's a lot of things that we as humans do that are normal that we as parents find to be abnormal or as bad behavior. Like when you put a bowl of food in front of a toddler and they start, touching it more than they're eating it, throwing it everywhere. That's normal. And a lot of times we don't recognize that as normal. There's a lot of sexual things that are normal. It is normal, may not be common, but it's normal for babies to masturbate. You're like the most sexual within your childhood, like before 5 years old. Then you start to get, because all you have is your essence, your body, right? We're reproductive beings. Then you start to get distracted by activities and stuff like that, and it kind of falls off, and then it picks back up again once you're like 13. But everybody's different. Everybody's an individual, and one 5-year-old may be more sexual than another. Now, in the piece that I shared, some of you may think that I orgasmed from what I described, but I did not. That was one thing. I know one thing that family members have shared with me is that they could be riding a bike to orgasm. That's not something that I experienced early on, but I was definitely in touch with that spot. I feel like there was some kind of barrier there or something. So it would be pleasurable, but then it would lead to pain. And so, I didn't know what was going on with my body. I believe there's so many things and a fine line between normal sexual behavior and abnormal sexual behavior for children. There are many things that I feel like influenced me. My mom used to watch soap operas. A lot of times we imitate things. So I think my level of sexuality at an early age, coupled with things that I watched and wanting to imitate things, and then not purposely, but being neglected by my family, really, really, really propelled all that happened. And as long as there's opportunity, these predators, they're usually not violent. They look for certain things in children. They know who they can manipulate, and then it starts from there. So as parents, as members of the community, people who work for youth serving agencies, these are things that I want us to be aware of and to start talking about, because even when we talk about child sexual abuse, we don't talk about those things. And I have never heard anybody share a story. I've heard lots of shares, share a personal account of being molested and that they found it enjoyable. And I believe that there are a lot of us out there and there's a lot of shame behind it. I've met people who it's happened to, but I think it's harder because one, some people don't recognize that as child sexual abuse. There are adults in my life who till this day, regardless, and I said 9 because that's what I could stomach. And I'm so grateful for Jackie's share, because when my family and I dissect the whole situation, I think it probably was 7. That's what makes more sense. When I think about myself in school, at 7. I don't know if it's like a blockage. I can't imagine all that happening, but it was between 7 and 9. I forgot where I was going with that. But again, my name is Martine Lissa Malivers. I'm a childhood sexual abuse survivor. I'm sharing my story with you today. And the session is entitled Teaching the Art of Touch, because the name of my nonprofit is Touch the Rebellion. I founded it in 2011. It aims to make the public aware of the prevalence of child sexual abuse in all communities and teach preventative measures against it. Our vision is a world taking action against child sexual abuse, and making it a part of everyday life because it is that prevalent. Okay, a child is being sexually abused now. A child is being sexually abused on a school bus right now, in a school right now, at home. Okay, so my mission is to bring the awareness and to teach prevention. One of the things, Shawnee, I forgot to go over with you all. I sent poll questions and we didn't talk about that at all. So I imagine you guys don't have them.
Let me see what's possible. I don't see your poll here, but I'm going to look somewhere else and we can come back to it. And before I do that, let me just share, Martine, just acknowledge you for the courage to share. And I cannot remember the name of this film. I'm thinking the actress is Laura Dern. It's a white woman. And the film focuses on point of view of the child that experienced the sexual trauma and abuse. But she made up that she was older, more mature, that it was consensual, and that it was her awakening to herself, and that the people who did it to her were loving. It was a couple that exposed her to sex and engaged with her separately and together. The man groomed her, and then the wife came in on the experiences. But her mother, the woman who experienced it, her mother had to point out how young and innocent she looked, because Laura Dern made up that she was sophisticated and looked older and knew what she was doing. So she didn't discover she was molested until 30-something years later. That story was always told from a space of joy, pride, like good feeling. And then it shifted once she realized the power differential, the age difference, and how they prepped her and took advantage of her. So this stuff can be very, very confusing for the person who experiences, especially if there's, like you said, some feelings, sensations, like our bodies respond. And also the groomer convinces you that something else is going on, whether it's a young person or an adult. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective and also talking about it from the mindset of a 7 or 9-year-old, because it can get very, very convoluted because we're not mature. You know, our brains are not fully developed and our bodies are like tuning forks. So I appreciate you.
Thank you for saying that too, because I kind of got lost in what I was saying. Remember, I was like, I don't remember what I was saying when I was talking about the age, but I was saying that this is that some people don't view that as child sexual abuse. Okay. Mm-hmm. One, because it was pleasurable for the child, right? But you have to consider the age. Okay, it's child sexual abuse, and this is by law, but the laws are based on a lot of things, right? And this is actually, I think, a good law, because another thing that people don't recognize is that other children could molest children, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys described that as, oh, it sounded like a teenage love affair. It could have been. This person was in their early 20s, but there's a certain, and the states, depending on the load, this is the part that I don't like, there's an age span where they consider it child sexual abuse, because then you could also just have childhood sexual exploration, So
Mhm.
child sexual abuse is usually classified because of the age difference and the asserting of power over another. So it's child sexual abuse because of how old I was. It doesn't have to be because I struggled or that I didn't want it. So that's something that needs to be made clear, because that's a major, major hurdle I still have with a lot of family members, because for some reason they think that a 7 to 9-year-old should be able to discern and control their feelings. And if we keep with that type of mindset, there'll be millions more stories that we don't ever even hear of, because especially with boys, there's a lot of men who, after hearing me talk or having a conversation with me, they're like, oh my God, I was violated, kind of like the woman that you described. Andrea.
Just to let you know, I have the poll, so just wanted you to share.
Oh,
I know,
wonderful.
Andrea, if you want to hear from her, it's fine. I just want you to know we're ready.
Great. Thank you.
Yes,
Andrea. Hi.
yes, ma'am. Great morning and grand rising to all. I just wanted to raise the sisters up here. This is really powerful, the topic you raise, wow, it's deep. When I listen to you, the passion, the emotions that came up. And when Miss Jackie said that she became the biggest bitch, but she had to take power as well with that type of stuff. But I think listening to all of this, what I got out of it is, as parents, men and women, we need to really understand child development. You hit on that topic, and that's what I want to stress on, is understanding how the child is developing emotionally, physically, because some children mature more than others, but that doesn't give the perpetrator the right to violate that person, that child. Regardless, it's a child, So I think more than anything, I think, being in the healthcare arena myself, you just give me something else to think about, to help bring awareness to, because a lot of us, even some of us women, don't even recognize our own bodies, even when we get to the point of having relationships with a partner, So that's what I wanted to share. And kudos to you, and keep the brave work up. And thanks for
you.
sharing, because I know that's very deep, that's very personal. And it took, people would say, oh, but it's a lot to say that publicly. And I want to applaud both of you for sharing. And just keep healing from here on. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Adam.
Whew. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Will Nation. For me, another thing that we need to be mindful of is that we need to be very mindful of the words that we say to one another. Like, for instance, if I get into an argument with a female, right, and when I do get into an argument with a female, then instantly she want to start attacking my masculinity by calling me gay or calling me a faggot. So every time I hear that, it puts a man in a very powerless position, to the point where he feels, inadequate when a woman says that. And I feel like no one ever, brings that up, because of society. Oh, it's not good for a man to, speak up against these things, or why is he saying these things? But I think um that discussion need to be brought up, because there's a lot of men who are being called those kind of names for no reason, just for speaking up. And I think it's very unnecessary, and it makes me lose respect for a lot of people these days, when people say these things and they don't say anything about it. So I just want to bring that up into the atmosphere. And I'm
Okay,
complete.
and we're gonna touch on that. That's the art of touch is about that. I got you. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Adam.
You got it.
Tanine. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank
Morning.
you for this platform. Thank you, everyone who shared your hearts. I would like to share briefly that I have also been sexually assaulted. I believe it was maybe from the age of 7. And I actually wrote about this weekend, like different eras of my emotional life, just to kind of reflect. But today I would like to share from the space of gratitude and forgiveness. So I was sexually assaulted by my uncle, my cousin, and then my father at 13. I believe it was my father. And what I've learned over the years through my journey is, as a mother, I have 4 children. I learned to cultivate gratitude because of my experience. Because what it did, it heightened my sensitivity and it sharpened my skills to parent my children in a way where I get to know them, get to know myself, get to know the people around me, the community, and I was able to actually protect them more because of my experience. So I have a wealth of gratitude because of the experiences I've had. And then the forgiveness piece is actually starting to happen. It's emerging. So I'm learning to forgive from a place of authenticity, understanding. What's happening is, because I know myself so well and I know my purpose and I'm strengthened in that area, I'm able to see through the eyes of compassion for the abuser, understanding that they were somewhere else in their lives, not excusing at all, but acknowledging that what happened to me was never about me. And it allows me to forgive and let it go and not be held by the weight of someone else's sins. So I wanted to share that. I guess they're like bookends. Gratitude and forgiveness is something that helps me throughout the day. And it also helps me. I work with high school students, mentees, at-risk students. So I work with children a lot, younger and older. And I'm able to see without knowing what's going on in someone's life. So it heightened my sensory to abuse. And that's the gratitude piece. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm telling you, when every survivor can get to that point, there's so much power in it. And I appreciate what you said, but we need to turn that tide too, because there's no way to live. I know that you didn't get there quickly or easily. And the answer lies in prevention. It lies in prevention. And it's not that it's so simple, but at the same time, it is simple. Okay. The answer lies in prevention. All right. I see one more hand, Marilyn Perez. And then we're going to do the poll because we have to move on. Marilyn, good
Hi,
morning.
everyone. Good
Thank you, Tanine,
morning.
for your share.
I'm actually feeling very overwhelmed with emotion. It has been a topic that I really don't discuss. I was sexually molested by my stepdad from a very, very young age. I wouldn't even know how young it was. And I'm still learning how to deal with it. And I know that, oh, I'm sorry, that
You're
even
in a safe space.
having even having gone through it, I know that as a young age, you know that how you said it affects your development. And I feel that a lot of my development and the way I am with my relationship, like right now I'm married, has been affected by it. Because when it did or was occurring as a young girl, I always was trying to find like an escape code. Every time there was nobody in the house, it was just me and him, I felt like I needed to be out of the house. So when anything I feel in a stressed environment, I feel like I need to flee. I feel like I need to run, go find my own little space. And even with my marriage, I'm trying to learn how to, like, when it gets stressful, it's not even anything about sexual or anything. It's just, you know, how there's certain disagreements. I still feel that need inside to escape, to run off, and I never face the problem. But I know it was because I trained myself and made myself to believe that anytime something's gonna happen, I need that escape code. And I'm in therapy now, and I'm so thankful that I was open-minded about that, and I'm kind of learning on how to, like, get on my own 2 feet, talk when I want to express myself, and that it's okay if I'm in a situation that might feel a little uncomfortable and speak up. And I'm little by little learning how to do that. And it wasn't until I started therapy, and I would say maybe 2 years ago, and I'm 37 now, I didn't tell my mom, nobody knew that I had gone through all of that. And I told my mom maybe like 2 years ago, and I felt heartbroken because she started crying. She didn't even know. She didn't even see the signs. And she asked, why didn't I ever tell her? And I said, I just didn't know how. How, as a child, do you explain to your parent that somebody's doing something to you? And when I was telling her, like, remember how, like, my mom was a church going woman, and I would go with her to church at night just so I wouldn't be in the house alone with him. Even if I fell asleep on her lap while she was praising the Lord, I knew that I was somewhere safe when I was with her. And now, you know, once I started telling her all this stuff, she kind of put everything together. She's like, oh my God, the signs were there and I didn't know. And she apologized. I was like, no, it's not for you to apologize, because, you know, it's not something that you expect to happen to your child. And I really, really thank you for giving, you know, a voice to people that go through this and sometimes don't know who to speak to, because who would understand?
Right. Right. Another thing too, I'm first of all, I was going to suggest therapy, so I'm so glad that you're in therapy, is one day at a time. Sometimes this is like a forever mission to become whole, but you brought up to another layer, because this is so layered, it's so convoluted, and mostly because we're individuals, right? And we're already complex people, we're unique, right? Where your response is to run in different situations. And I applaud you too for being able to connect that to your abuse, because everybody's trauma response is different. I have a friend who mentions her marriage, and it's not about running from conflict. It's literally about running away from sex with her husband. Um, so many different trauma responses, and therapy is key, but also therapy is not one size fits all, right? You have good therapists, bad therapists, like they say, but a therapist could be good, but they're not good for you. So I encourage everybody to get therapy, but be patient and find the right therapist for you. Make sure that the therapist is addressing those issues, because there's not really too much um, uh, therapy zeroing in on child sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse itself gets coupled with basic sexual assault. Even now, you know, I think unofficially there's a child sexual abuse prevention month, but the child sexual abuse always falls under child abuse. So thank you so much for your share. We're going to move on with the poll as quickly as possible. Please, please, guys, fill out this poll, because I want to see where everybody is in the space. Because one of the aims of Touch the Rebellion, again, this is about my story. We're getting caught up in my story, your stories, but it's about prevention and why I birthed Touch the Rebellion. Because all of us in here who have these stories, I'm sure you will want to stop it from happening to other children, right? And I'm here to tell you guys about my organization and to ask for partnership. That is the goal. So let me prove how rampant child sexual abuse is, because some of you are brave enough to share, some of you are not. And I'm hoping that you can at least fill it out on the poll, because we won't know who answered what. We're just going to show statistically how many people, so I have 3 questions. Sean, you ready for the poll? And let me just go over them so we answer them correctly. Have you ever personally experienced any type of sexual abuse as a child? Okay, so we're talking about under 18, so 17 and under. The second question, do you personally know anyone who was sexually abused as a child? And the third question, especially, let's be mindful, did anyone ever teach you any preventative measures against child sexual abuse? Now, use as much knowledge as you can, because I'm trying to give you the knowledge, but I'm not talking about if your mother said, don't let nobody touch you down there. Is that preventative? Let's think about this critically. Does that help you prevent child sexual abuse? No, it's telling you what to do after the person has already touched you, right? So did anyone ever teach you any preventative measures against child sexual abuse? Okay, how much time you guys think we need for this? 2 minutes? Is that too long, Shawnee? What you think?
Yeah, it's too long. The main thing that we need is for folks in this space, which there are 30 of us, to answer the poll. We're up to 9 people who have responded to the poll. So I know folks are reading, we're getting more and more. So thank y'all. We're up to 12, which is 44% of the participants.
Excuse me, the Queer Doreen, could you restart the poll? Because I didn't see it. I wasn't in there at the beginning.
Kinyofu, help me out. A person should be able to access it even if you didn't.
Yeah, it should be on the screen on your phone or computer.
I'm on my cell phone.
Just a swipe
Okay,
to
so
the. Go ahead.
yes, swipe. Yeah, look for it. It might be hidden, so look for it. It might be a word poll that you need to click.
Maybe something is red and highlighted. Or...
I believe you. This is Ellen.
I'm sorry
I believe
to interrupt. Oh.
Hello.
I was gonna say if she goes to chat, she'll see it above the poll. She's on her phone.
Thank you.
Okay, go to chat, they're saying.
All right, family, 19 of you have responded to the poll. We're at 70%. And we won't keep it up much longer. Just want to encourage you to respond. So maybe 30 more seconds, Martine.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you. Someone else answered. We're at 74%. 15 more seconds, family. All right. I'm going to end the poll so you can see.
Okay, and I'm just.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, am I the only one who can see this?
No, I can see it too as the. You're going to read it?
Yeah, I didn't know if I could. Okay, so the first question, have you ever personally experienced any type of sexual abuse as a child? 75% of you said yes. 75%. Do you personally know anyone who was sexually abused as a child? 95% of you said yes. And did anyone ever teach you any preventative measures against child sexual abuse? 20% said yes. That means 80% of you were taught preventative measures. Okay, that's beautiful. Question for you guys that say that you were taught preventative measures. Okay, let me hear from 2 people. What were the preventative measures you were taught? Admin, please help me with the hands because I'm trying to see if I can get this video.
Yeah, I think Yogisha and you have several people, Tracy Ann, Bimbola. So Stacy, unmute yourself.
All right, I'll go really quickly. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Queen Martine, and everyone. What I thought of, and I had to think of the answer because I was like, nah, that's not prevention. Oh, blah blah. And then I thought of the things that like my mom and my aunts would say, like, don't sit on the man's lap. I don't know if that's prevention. Sit near the knee part. But I'm also thinking what age that was because I remember sitting on everyone's lap. you know, I would go to my father's friends, sit on their knees, but I would be closer towards their knees. So I think something in my brain, well, I was told, but I remember, but I don't know what age, but that was the prevention, like sit near their knees or like don't sit on their laps. And, you know, maybe some other things about just like how you carried yourself. But that's what I remember the most from being young.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So don't sit on laps. Tracy Ann, I see, or I don't know if you call somebody else.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
Tracy.
Okay, hello everyone. My dad spoke to me about sex very early. I remember at the age of 4, he broke down rape, what sex is, where babies come from, and the dangers of dealing with like speaking to people I don't know, or even that just if there's a stranger and you've never met him before, or even if they said dad or mom said, you know, just not when people are too nice to you, especially he directed it more towards men because I think that was his concern. And then my mom was constantly talking to me about sex. Like she would check my underwear, especially after sleepovers, but that's not preventative. But she would constantly talk to me about sex and, you know, having natural feelings at a young age, like when people touch you in a certain type of way. And then I think my grandmother, you know, she was the most impactful because she let me know that your grandfather could molest you, you know, just like Stacey said, sitting on men's laps, but just like if it's you know, uncle, men. But for me personally, I think that it would be best, like if you speak to a child and you explain to them that either sex can do it and you do it at a very young age so that they could be aware of it because you know kids are naive and I know sometimes people want to keep people like kids like pure or you know I don't know what other way to say it, but you just don't want to open them up to the world, but you gotta kind of prepare them. And I'm complete.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good. I'm impressed. Abibola.
Yes, blessings, family. So my
Blessings.
mother had 7 girls. I'm the 7th one, but we could never sit on any man's lap, and we couldn't hug our uncles. And I think that was preventative. We couldn't. She never let us. We could. She would direct us to go and kiss our aunts, but never our uncles. And so I'm looking back now, and we were never left. You know, we were always grouped. So we were never alone, and she didn't leave us with men. And then she would always say, we said, Mother, how come you never got married or remarried? My father left when I was 2 years old, and I'm number 7. And she said, I wouldn't want to bring another man around my children. So I'm looking back, and none of us have a story about ever being molested.
Okay,
So
so
I
personal
think,
question. Do you know if your mother was ever sexually abused?
no.
You know
She was,
that? Or you're
yes,
just not
yes.
aware that she was?
No, she never was. Well, okay, so let me just put it this way. My mother came from the South at age 6, and she worked for white people. And then she was um, at 9 taken in by a church family and a minister and helped and stuff like that. And so when she got married, she was a virgin.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All
Yeah,
right.
and they in very religious household. We couldn't wear pants, we couldn't do this. So it
Now
was very
I'm
strict.
not challenging you
No,
because
I don't.
she may have
Mhm.
not been, but the stuff that you're bringing up,
Mhm.
those are perfect environments for child sexual abuse, believe
For
me.
real.
Yeah, but like I said, we talked. I mean, my mother passed away when she was 99 and a half, and she had other sad stories to
No,
tell.
I mean, I'm not
But
saying that she was. I'm
no,
just saying
no,
for
no, I
your
hear what you.
awareness, that doesn't,
Yeah,
because
right. But I don't know, but I was just saying that looking back, and my sisters and I, there's 5 of us left, and we all talked. And later on, after when they got out in the street and started being fast, that's when they engaged. But none of us had a story to say that happened to us. So that's what I'm just saying in terms of that. And then I'm looking back on the questions you're asking.
And you're
I'm saying,
realizing these were
I
may
said
have been
maybe that's
preventative.
why my mother
So
did
even if
that.
it didn't
So,
happen to her though, she's probably aware. That's a heightened level of awareness. And all of these, not to cut you off, but we have to move on. All right. Thank you so much for your share. And I'm so happy you never experienced this or even have anybody close to you. And nothing, we're going to stop using that word fast, because these are the words and things that, catapult this, right? Fast, it's a normal developmental stage, okay? That's what I want to zero in on. Okay, it's 7:01. Anybody who has rocked with me thus far and needs to go, thank you so much. Make sure you watch the playback for the end. Have a good day. My contact information, I
Thank you,
think, is
you
going to
too.
be in the chat. Yes, thank you. Have a good day, and make sure you watch the rest of the playback, okay? Because we're about to get into the good stuff, the point of the session. But I really, really, really wanted to hear from the community. And as always, Martine's sessions don't always end, and we got to do a part 2. That'll be all right too. I wanted to meet you guys where you are at. Thank you so much for sharing. Again, if you have to leave, have a good day. My contact information is there, especially for parents who are like, okay, you're teaching me all this, but now I want to talk to my children. Call me, text me, email me, send a smoke signal Morse code. I will send you a free parent pack. Okay, we're going to move along. Thank you again, family, for making this a safe space for me. Okay, we can go to the first slide. And as we're getting the slide together, again, I am a childhood survivor of child sexual abuse. I'm a registered nurse, and I'm also a child sexual abuse prevention specialist. I became aware of how much. Shawnee just don't want to show my first slide. Shawnee, where's my first slide?
Okay. I thought we had moved.
You see what I'm talking about, Kenyofu?
Sorry.
That's an inside joke, okay? Because I'm also Martine Lissa Malivers, the change maker. And Shawnee needs to be as proud of this slide. She's making fun of me this morning. This is my branding, okay? She helped me with this, okay? The Be the Tree program, anybody who's considering it, do it, because it helped me to walk in my purpose, which is to identify toxic cultural norms and replace them, gain consensus from the community and replace them with healthy new norms. And so I call myself Martine Lissa Malivers, a change maker, after going through Be the Tree and being able to verbalize what my purpose is. And the main thing up under this umbrella of my many purposes, I call it, is Touch the Rebellion, child sexual abuse or predatory prevention services. You can go to the next slide now. Y'all gonna see my branding. All my sessions start off with this. And then the next slide is always a toxic norm that I've identified or a known statistic and the change I would like to see. So the toxic norm is 1 in 10 children are sexually abused by the age of 18. And the change I'd like to see is a world taking action against child sexual abuse and making its prevention a part of everyday life. Okay, so we're going to go into the prevention part, but using my story. So we can go to the next slide. All right. Look at this melange, y'all. Can y'all see your girl? This is my family and I, looking like the United Colors of Benetton. You see that white thing sticking out? That's me. You see that? Okay, so I want you to focus on what you see. There's a lot of people, okay? I grew up in a Haitian household, and I guess still today, but back in the day when Haitians were first coming over to America, they would help each other. A lot of cultures are like this. And one person would move and then they would slowly trickle in their whole family and friends and things of that nature. So as early as I can remember, the man in the middle there that you see with the girl on his lap, that is my stepfather. He owned a 3-family house. It was really a one family that was split up into three. We lived on the first floor, then he rented out the second and the third floors. And there was just always people fluctuating in and out, and we considered them family. I had a good sense of chosen family at an early age. I got a whole bunch of cousins that are in no way related to me. So a lot of people coming in and out. That is, I can't think of my words right now, but that helps predators, okay? In and out, lots of people, lots of stuff going on, okay? So that is a risk factor for child sexual abuse. I'm different, I stick out, I felt different. That's a risk factor for child sexual abuse. I put the picture of my stepfather and my sister in the middle because that was his thing. My sister, I don't have a single picture with me sitting on his lap or even with him unless it's a group of us, okay? And it was not on purpose. There are a lot of family dynamics and what I'll tell you quickly is that my mother and father came together already having a child each. So he had a daughter and she had a daughter. And his daughter did not live with us. And I think he harbored a lot of guilt over that. And in Haitian culture, you do what makes sense, not considering anybody's feelings. And I believe that he was pressured to have her go live with somebody else, especially before he was married. And after he got married, she stayed there, which my mother really didn't like. So there was animosity there. And I feel that he felt estranged from me or guilty for taking care of me when he didn't even have, when he wasn't caring for his own daughter every day. So this was the dynamic. And this also was a risk factor for child sexual abuse. It left me very open because the predators and maybe even other people who, you know, just noticed, they noticed, okay? So he also was a tailor. So the account I gave you of what happened to me, my sexual abuse, it was the person who sexually abused me first and for the longest. But I was sexually abused by a lot of people and even some of his customers because it was a big house. Sometimes he was downstairs. I was sexually abused with both my parents in the house sometimes, okay? And as Jackie said, it happens very often with people in the same room. Okay, so these are all risk factors for child sexual abuse. You can go to the next slide, Shawnee. Okay, let's hold off on this slide actually, and we can come out of this. We'll get to this later. So let me just run it all down for you. So again, I thought I was in love and I even like broke up with him and he moved out. And then I was sexually abused by older cousins and things of that nature. Only one other adult sexually abused me. And I never was penetrated. So it was just touching. And that was my father's customer while he was home downstairs getting his suit together. My mother used to get so upset because people would come to the house for their suits and they wouldn't be ready. So she would go downstairs yelling at him, while the person she's defending is upstairs taking advantage of me. So that's another thing, leaving children in a room with people you trust. I mean, he wasn't like a close family member or something like that, but there was no reason that she could think of not to trust him. At the age of about 11, I was at camp. So I had all these episodes happen. And as I told you, as you grow up and you start to get distracted by activities and things, you know, those sexual feelings, they go up and down. So I'm kind of like at a down point at this time. I'm attracted now to boys at school or whatever, but you know, not really. That wasn't really my thing, but I was sitting at camp and an organization came and they talked to us about child sexual abuse, but their focus was on telling if you have ever been sexually abused. So that was the first time at 11 sitting in summer camp, watching this presentation that I realized that I was violated. I always looked at it as me being sneaky and doing something wrong. But at 11 years old, because those people came and presented, I realized that I was violated, and they told me that I must tell, okay? So the first person I told was my camp counselor. Camp counselors were in my little small town, they were like 16. So this boy, he's like, what? This happened to you? Are you sure? Saying all the wrong things. And I was adamant. I said, yes. And they told me I need to tell somebody. So he should have reported it to the director or his superior. He did not. He said, tell your mama. And he made me swear to tell my mother. And every day I came to camp, he would ask me, did you tell your mother? Did you tell your mother? Did you tell your mother? You have to tell your mother. So finally, I told my mother. And she didn't look surprised. She didn't say much. I begged her not to tell my father because I felt like he, my stepfather now, that he, his manhood, and he would go kill him. And I begged her not to tell anybody. And she said, okay. And she probably didn't tell anybody. And life went on as normal, but now I'm more aware, right? And there was several other attempts, but now I'm aware, even though that organization who came didn't really teach me prevention, I was aware and I was offended now. So now I started to talk about it amongst my friends. And that's when I realized at a very young age, how rampant child sexual abuse was. And that was proven this morning with this poll, right, in our space of 30. A lot of my friends were also sexually abused. So once I got into my early 20s, I started a support group. And I just would encourage people to tell, and we would just tell our stories. And the goal of the support group was to help people to heal, but it started to do more damage than good. Because telling, it is wonderful to tell. It's wonderful, to be empowered and to find community, but that opens up wounds. And if you don't have the resources to take care of somebody who's going through a traumatic response, it could be bad. I've literally had people try to commit suicide. Somebody tried to jump off a roof. They were actually helping me. It was a person who I made huge strides with the nonprofit. So I started to see that it was detrimental. And I also, there was just so many layers of it and so many stories and so many different responses. Then you got the men who started to come and share. I dated somebody who confided in me and told me he was sexually abused. And he said that the only bit of healing that he got was that his family beat the person to a pulp. And that's not productive, because after he recovers, he's going to go sexually abuse somebody else. And so I kind of went up and down with my activity. And I left the support group alone, but I always had the itch, because my trauma response was different in that I really wanted to do something and help victims. Then I heard this horrible, horrible, horrible story. So now it's 2011. I moved from New York. I'm living in Houston, Texas. And I hear this story that changed everything for me. Shawnee, you can bring up the next slide if you're available.
Okay.
And it was just like my ultimate fear, right? Which is why I stopped the support group. And that's what happened. So this young lady here, her name is Ashley Marie Bilasano. And in 2011, she tweeted 144 times detailing her sexual abuse and her attempted suicide, because her case was dismissed for lack of evidence. Child Protective Services dismissed her case. So her father was sexually abusing her and he was pimping her out. And there wasn't evidence. It's one of the hardest things to prove. There wasn't enough evidence. Also, I think her father was on the police force, so there was a lot of cover up. And so she did what I was encouraged to do. She told. And how her story was discovered. Very long story short, she was dating somebody and he went through her phone and he saw that she was sending naked pictures. Now, she was sending naked pictures to somebody who her father was pimping her out to. She didn't want to break up with him, so she told him everything. And he didn't believe her at first until he got proof. And then he encouraged her to tell her teacher. She told her teacher, who was a mandated reporter. And you know, sometimes we get put in these positions. I'm a mandated reporter. I have to report this. But the report subsequently led to her death because she was not believed. She went through a lot, and to prove that she was sexually abused, she killed herself. Like, that was her statement. Why would I kill myself if this wasn't true? You guys failed me. So she had a first attempt that was failed, and she tweeted these 144 tweets. She detailed several assaults. And then she signed off saying that she hopes it works this time. That's what this, I just have a few of the tweets there. And she killed herself. I was so touched by this. I went to her funeral. I met with her family. I met with her friends. And it was like a rabbit hole. Her stepfather wasn't the only one who molested her. Her mother is in on it. I mean, it was crazy. And I was so overwhelmed. But I was moved to make a t-shirt. And this is the front on this picture, but this is the back of the t-shirt, and said, "Justice for Billy, protect our children." And I made it the back of the t-shirt eventually because I was like, there has to be a message. I wanted to be a walking billboard. So you can go to the next slide, Shwani. I created this t-shirt that you see in that first picture, and says, have you talked to your child about being touched today? Touched is in quotation mark. And I would walk around, and whoever was brave enough, I have some day ones who were like, okay, we're gonna go with your crazy ideas. And we would walk around in these shirts, and people would get so pissed off when they would see this shirt. And they would be like, this is inappropriate, but it would open up a conversation. And then I had a challenge going on that within everybody's family, somebody was molested. And so people would follow up with me, and we would start this roundtable discussion, right? But there was still like, okay, I felt like, okay, now we're talking about it, but now what? And then it just hit me one day. What can I do instead of focusing on victims and opening up these wounds and, you know, causing this damage? And it's something that I will always hold dear and want to go back to, but I don't have the resources. What could I do right now? And it hit me. I was like, I could prevent what happened to me from happening to any child who's never been touched. And that's how I got into prevention. And my tagline is prevention first. It has to be first, because if we stop this before it happens, it's not going to be as big of a problem it is. It really is a simple concept. Okay, so I started this nonprofit, and it's not a 501c3 because I promised myself I would not apply for my 501c3 until I get the traction that I want, because I don't want to just be another nonprofit, you know, on the United States books that's just sitting there. That is really, really dear to me. So I founded this in 2011. It's 2022 and have not gotten the traction that I need. Okay, and this is why I'm here coming to you guys, because I want partnership. You can go to the next slide, Shawnee. So under Touch the Rebellion, and you see that's my logo in the center, I've birthed many programs. So the first one that was actually there before Touch the Rebellion, two of them were there before Touch the Rebellion, but I just hadn't named them because I hadn't had the guidance, was the roundtable discussion. That's over on the right. And it's just a community coming together maybe 3 times a year to discuss, right? To learn. There has to be a lot of education. There's a lot of education to have, okay? And again, I need partnership. Let me give you examples. So we have Kenyofu, right, who is so passionate about parenting, and she's so versed on the milestones and things in development. So Kenyofu could be at the roundtable discussion, and now she's having parenting classes, right? because the more you understand about child development, right, the more prepared you will be to teach preventative measures against child sexual abuse. There's a lot of connections within our everyday lives. And this is why I say I want prevention to be a part of our everyday life, okay? Then to the left of the logo, I don't know if you guys can see that, is Live to Tell It, okay? That was my support group that I kind of changed now because I want it to be people who are just ready to tell their story. A lot of you shared today. Imagine if we could polish that all up and you do a TED Talk or something, right? I'm sure that your shares, especially like Jackie's shares, how layered it was, have brought about awareness to other, maybe even somebody else who was sexually abused, but was like, wow, I didn't even realize that this was an aspect of child sexual abuse. And now I have a connection and I see something in my own daughter relating back to Jackie's share, right? I'm seeking partnership there. Who's ready to tell their story? Let's start a group where we could even use woo as practice. And the sessions could be telling your personal story in a productive way that will help people. Single Mother's Day. I like to find groups that are higher risk for child sexual abuse, and single mothers, single parent households actually are at high risk. And Single Mother's Day is going to evolve because I don't know if you guys are aware of the rise in single fatherhood. It's probably going to be Single Parents Day, but it's a day that I reward single parents, you know, just for the feat of being a single parent. And I also take that opportunity to give them specific information on the specific risk factors that affect their specific households, right? Because the children who grow up in single parent households are at higher risk for child sexual abuse than those born in two parent households. Then I have Hear Me Out, Dating Edition. That is my dating Zoom. Now that might sound crazy, like what does dating have to do with child sexual abuse? Well, I just told you that single parent households are higher risk, right? And I feel like in the Black community, single parenthood is a thing. And I feel like it's because we're not purposely dating, we're not taught to how to date. We are evolving, especially financially, especially our females, but we're not connecting it with family, right? So it's all about purposely dating. It's an avenue other than online dating to hopefully through our extended networks to find a mate so that we can stop with the single parent household stuff. That's a little bit far gone, but it's developing. I have free parent packs. That's free information on child sexual abuse prevention, what to say, how to say it, because even though you guys, I'm very impressed at how many people said that they were taught preventative measures. It's lacking. It really is. And some of it is misinformation. Okay. You can't just tell somebody, and I think Shawnee said this in the comments, you got to have context. You can't just tell a child, don't sit on somebody's lap. That is technically a preventative measure, but is it an effective one? No. So the parent pack gives you information on just what to say. It's evidence-based. Then I have children's workshops. A lot of people, they have the idea, oh, you shouldn't put the burden of prevention on children. Well, sometimes we put the actual sexual assault as a burden on a child. Okay, you burden your child with learning how to cross the street because they have to take onus over their person, right? So the workshops deal directly with the children and teach them preventative measures. And that's also part of teaching the art of touch, because a lot of people say, well, what are you teaching my children? I don't want to give my children to you and you're talking to them about sex. What I do is I teach the art of touch. I teach about spiritual, emotional, and physical touch, appropriate and inappropriate touch, not good and bad touch, because we don't like to use those, because what's good or bad to you may not be good or bad to somebody else. Remember, my touch that I was experiencing was good. And when we call it bad touch, we harbor guilt. All right. So that's what teaching the art of touch is. So I have all this programming, all these ideas, this mission, but I'm a one-woman show. So I'm asking you guys for help. Okay, we can go to the last slide, Shawnee. Not sure why sexual prevention is not, you can pass this one. Not sure why sexual prevention is not taught in kindergarten. Aaliyah said that. That is one of my goals, Aaliyah. That is one of my goals. I want this to be taught in schools. Now, if any of you have, I need truth and accountability from my community. Some of you guys have received my virtual parent pack. I need to hear from one person who has cracked that parent pack open. Anybody, quickly. You see anybody, Shawnee?
I'll jump in. It is very detailed, very informative. It's a lot of reading, but it's well worth it. And it does give you insight on what to look for, how to communicate, where to go. And I did, Martine, share it with some of my clients that I was been working with. So it's something that you can pass on to others. It's something that you can hold on and refer to for later.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me ask you though, is it clear? Is it concise? Is it easy to use? Honest.
It is.
You think so? Great. I'm glad to hear that. I don't agree though. And maybe for you and you know how you are, I haven't gotten a lot of responses from the community about it. And I think that it's a bit overwhelming. So what I would like to do, and for myself, because I'm quite overwhelmed, I do these in-person workshops and I'm literally doing it's just overwhelming. What I would like, my vision is a website. I'm not a web developer or anything, but I said, let me give y'all a visual, okay? This would be my landing page. Hopefully somebody would design and make it look nicer. Don't make fun of me, y'all. But where the parent pack, now you can attest to this too. So you see, I have sectioned off and you can click and go through it and the information will be available. Because what I have now is I email out attachments and sometimes the attachments are out of order. So then I have to email out a form to tell you to go to number one. So the attachments are labeled. And I think that is laborious, but you know, Kenyofu has a wonderful mind. She probably just right through that, but I don't think it's very user-friendly. And also I would like the workshops to be virtual because then I can reach more people. But this is a very time-consuming and expensive project. So I need partnership in this too. I want to start like a Kickstarter or something like that. I need a business plan. I need advice, and hopefully I can find this mission effective and productive enough to go for the 501c3. That's what I'm asking you guys. This, if I was able to get this into a website format, I could even have a program where schools could purchase the program and teachers could get training and it could be taught in schools. There's a campaign called Erin's Law. Erin is also a survivor of child sexual abuse, and her mission is to get child sexual abuse prevention into schools for up to 5th grade. And I think that's a wonderful mission, and a lot of states have adopted it, but there's still a lot of states that haven't. My issue with her mission is child sexual abuse prevention is an ongoing thing, and it should be tailored to the developmental stages of the children up to college age. We can't stop at 5th grade. A lot of times we forget about the older teenagers. They're getting sexually abused too. One of my challenges, I went to New Rochelle. I was invited by Girls Incorporated to do a workshop over there. And one of the things that I do, especially to kind of allay fears, is I tell the kids to talk about what they learned. And this was older teenagers, high school girls, right? And I'm filming and everybody's telling me 3 things that they learned. And one of the girls said, I learned what grooming is. And I also learned that I've been being groomed and sexually abused. And she, you know, in her 15-year-old mind, she just thought that she was telling me something, and she probably thought, okay, so now I'm not gonna let him groom me anymore. And I'm like, oh shit. Like that had never happened to me before. And so it's something that I needed to report. And it was so difficult. And the police officers who I had to end up reporting it to because the school wouldn't do so, they said that they wish that I hadn't, because nothing comes of this, is what they say. And then my organizations get pushed out because now I brought drama to the school. So this is something that we need in our schools, and we need it through high school. Somebody said kindergarten. I start teaching this to kids in daycare, okay? It's age appropriate. You graduate the substance. Stacy, you have your hand up?
Hi, yes, my hand up when you asked about the package. So when you said, for me, I was like, no, it's clear. However, there is like a gazillion things to click on, right? So, and what I want to say, because you have so much potent information in it, and me sharing it with my son's school. But of course, like when you and I spoke, I didn't share the links. That's for them to get in touch with you. And I did speak with the therapist that's over there, and he was like, he's going to share with his supervisor so that they could make it happen. So one, besides all of my upset, I said, I'm going to take more than just upset here today. I'm going to make sure that I follow up with them. And Martine, I'm going to be here to encourage
my partner here.
I'm here to encourage my boo, because even God, as you were speaking, create your 501. See, like create it, because that's opening the space. That's you speaking life into it. That it's like, oh my goodness, it's here. And once you start sending out those links or whatever, people like, oh wow, this is a nonprofit. Let me get with this. Like it's like speaking its own life. It's bringing itself, it's manifesting itself. So I just want you to let that soak. You don't got to answer now. Just let that marinate.
But I mean, to be clear, and I'm going to marinate on it, but I am a nonprofit. So a lot of people, so 501c3 is just a different status there's different statuses. And that status allows you to collect non-taxable donations.
Well, we want that.
And I want it too.
You heard me. We want that. I'm here, boo. I'm here with you. And this is so amazing, like this session, because my upset, and this is how people start activism, because your upset has you be like, I'm doing something about this shit. Like today. So all of us who are feeling our feelings, not just let us feel our feelings, but let's do something and partner with our sister and whoever does have these extra resources who can assist and do whatever, let's do it. Like I'm ready and I'm excited about it. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say for now.
Every single person in here can partner with me some way, somehow. That's right. Thank you so much, Stacey. Okay, we can go to the next and final slide. I almost forgot about this one, Shawnee, because I told you the last one. I'm glad you did. And it's just I think I need a business advisor. That should be on there too. But it's just about the services that I can think of right now that I need. Honestly, I went the nonprofit route with this because I wanted it to be a community effort, right? I know what my ministry is. Business setup, networking at all these galas, and that is not my thing. And I envisioned that I would have so many people and everybody would have a role, right? And it's been 11 years and I have people come and I have people go. So please, 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 if you see somewhere that you can fit in, please let me know. This is my baby, this is my heart, but again, it's community. I ask for constructive criticism all the time. I take advice. Again, I cannot do it by myself. I definitely need help in like the business aspect. I need grant writers. I need co-facilitators. I had a video that I can't put up. Maybe what I'll do is once I get it together, I'll share it to the WOO Facebook page, okay? And it just shows what we do at these workshops. I have somebody who comes in and does yoga with the kids. And, you know, sometimes we go to the kids, maybe bad, we're not supposed to say that, but really wired, misbehaving, and to watch them just get calm and get into the yoga. That's what I'm about. I'm about tying in everyday life things into this prevention, right? I'm about creating a space and an environment for the learning. We have men who come in and talk to the boys. The boys and older kids are often left out of this conversation, but they need this too. We have people who come in and do image workshops for the girls, because image, okay, lack of self-love is a high risk factor for child sexual abuse as well. It's just a plethora of ideas. And there's so many of us with so many strengths that could contribute to this. So again, I ask for your partnership. I thank you so much for creating this space. This is the furthest I have ever gotten. This is the first time I've ever shared that piece of writing. And I feel so good with my Woo family. Let's take this out into the world. Please join me. Drop your information in the chat. We're going to share my contact information and just get in where you fit in, please. I thank y'all so much. I love you. Thank you for helping me to grow and to walk within my purpose. And we're going to sign off because we're already over time. I love y'all.
Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. It's a great event. Thank you very much.
All right.
Can't wait to get into this chat.
We have, let me read some of the chat, and then we had a hand up from Chantel. I know there was a lot of exchange between her and others in the chat. And we thank you, family, for being so engaged on such a high level. So I'm just scrolling up to see where I can start because there's so much. So you already read what Aaliyah said, not sure why sexual prevention or abuse is not taught in kindergarten. And Stacy said, yes, so true. And I'm thinking that's connected to that statement because there were a lot of statements that were above and then people were responding later. And it was a request to get your bio screenshotted. So that could be dropped in the chat if you so choose, or it could be dropped on the Facebook page like you mentioned. And remember, family, the bios are in the e-blast. So anybody doing a facilitated session for Woo, your image, the headshot, and the bio are shared in that e-blast that we send out weekly. Chantel creates the space for us to know who's actually going to be sitting before us in these spaces. Aaliyah said, yet they started teaching sexual orientation in pre-K. And, all of that is tied together. So I agree, Aaliyah, if you're going to teach gender identification and how you express yourself and identify, then you must include all of the other nuances that make you a sexual being in the world. So thank you. Tanine said deep, and now you know different. Shawnee, because I was talking about how I operated from being smart as my superpower because I felt unworthy and like damaged goods. And, shared how I think this is what you were responding to. I can't remember. Tanine, there was so much exchange. But I was just sharing how I've been in recovery from the damaged goods story for 18 years. Anna said, I think children are seeking attention by any means necessary. It feels good. So is the lack of attention causing this problem? Media teaches that sex equals love. Sex gets attention, and people have become famous from their sexual activities like Kim Kardashian. So true. Yes, there's a lot of desire for attention. I was just thinking about this last night, how there's a lot of exposure, meaning on social media, we expose a lot, but we're not intimate. And that's a problem. High tech, low touch. So let me move through here.
Let me just, while you're doing that, Sweetness had said earlier, how are the children? To touch along what you just read too, we don't check in with the kids enough.
Yeah.
And Touch the Rebellion is not an overload on the sexual abuse part. It's an overload on the prevention part. And that's a very, 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 I've had conversations with Sweetness where she describes what she sees. And, you know, we're about getting the bag and chasing money, and we're not talking to our kids. And one of the things that I've learned to ask my daughter is, what do you need? What do you need? When she frustrates me, when I'm the one upset, I try to get out of myself and ask her, what does she need? We have to check in with our kids. That's one of the things that's in a parent pack. I have a calendar that you put on your refrigerator, and you circle one day out of the month where you check in with your kids and have a conversation and find out what's going on with them. I'm sorry, Shawnee, I just want to take that opportunity.
Oh, no, this is your session. I'm just sharing, and you elaborate, and that's powerful. I just wanted to add a piece about this around what do you need? So if we live in a world where we're disengaged from our physical being and our sexual beingness and our spiritual beingness, even the question, what do you need, can't be answered in a way that has alignment or integrity. All of this is integrated. Mind, body, spirit. Who we are as sexual beings is tied to who we are as spiritual beings. So, and I'm saying this as a parent who had to learn, because I became a mom at 20. That when I refused to experience my children fully as sexual beings and sentient beings, that I missed the opportunity to fully parent them and cover them in the world. They don't know how to express on all these levels or intricately on all these levels, because they're not taught from the time that they're small that their bodies matter, that their sexual beingness is part of their overall beingness, and it counts and it needs to be identified. So I just wanted to share that we're not taught that, and we have to relearn or unlearn the shit that we've been taught. Chantel said, but if children are curious about their sexuality and it's part of their development, how do we communicate with them what is appropriate for them to do? At Anna, that's one of my questions as well. Throughout the session, I thought back to when my friend's older brother, I was 7, he was 10, touched me because we were playing house. And my girl cousins and I touched each other, but I wasn't sure if I was exploring or being touched inappropriately. But when I told my mother, she spoke to her friend, his mother, and I remember his father slapping the shit out of him. I was so confused. Was that bad? And honestly, I'm still unsure about what it was. All right, context, like we said, is everything, but it's hard to understand context when you're this young, because you remember things based on that mindset, that context, that environment. So you may never get to the answer. And Martine, I don't know what you want to share about that.
Well, the question was, how do you address it? I think, I mean, these are, so the first thing is educating yourself to know what is normal behavior. And this is why I say prevention, because once you wait for something to happen and then you're addressing it, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you're teaching a child and you're letting them go, and when I said, what do you need? I meant it in a general sense. I'm so glad you cleared that up, Shawnee, for anybody who thought that I was talking about, but that's what I mean. As far as if you have the practice of not just about child sexual abuse, but having open communications with your children. We have to be so creative in our disciplining. When I did my session on 1, 2, 3 magic, that's something that Kenyofu was saying. We need to change our way of discipline. We need to change our way of communication. So the way to do it is prevention. If you talk to your child and check in with them and let them know that they'll have these feelings. You know, you've watched those shows with especially white people, right? Our white brothers and sisters, they love doing this. They check in with the teenager and they have those uncomfortable conversations. The teenager's like, I don't want to talk about that. And even though that's the teenager's reaction, and we as Black people are like, why are they talking to them about that, right? Even though that's their reaction, when they're ready, they know that door is open and they can talk to their parents about that, right? So you want to come from a preventative mindset and start checking in with them, seeing where they're at early on. But when it does, and we don't know when it's going to happen. When you are confronted with something like that, slapping is not the appropriate response, but everybody is different. I respect everybody's way of doing things, but it is about talking to them and letting them know what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, not what's good and what's bad, what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. And there's more detailed information in the parent pack, because it teaches you just that, how to meet the child where they're at and continue the conversation.
Awesome. Yes. So Jacqueline was talking about the challenge that Chantel put forth in reference to the layered aspect of her share. Jacqueline mentioned we have cultural norms to contend with as well. Absolutely. And just speaking to, we cannot have the conversation as it relates to Black and Brown people or BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color, without the context of racism, oppression, power, and privilege. White folks sometimes have the privilege of being able to be open and loose. We're still contending with generational trauma that has never been unpacked and addressed. And sexual abuse and trauma is closely, it's entangled with all of that. So it makes it really, really hard, I think, for different cultures, especially those with melanated skin, to navigate these subject matters with ease without sometimes doing more harm. Let's move forward. Kinyofu said, Sister Zariah said, I worked in a daycare and brought up the topic to find professionals to come in and discuss touch. That's awesome. Yes, yes, yes. So lots of different things shared in the space, acknowledgement of one another. Tanine wanted to talk about partnership with you, Martine, since you mentioned the need for that. And Adam said, also, we need to encourage the community about self-defense and how to use weapons against attackers. That's definitely a conversation to explore. I'm in the conversation myself about how much I want to learn how to defend myself and whether weapons are involved, just in the world that we live in.
Classes too for the kids.
Yes, awesome. All right, I didn't know that. That's awesome. And Tanine dropped in her contact information, Martine, for you to reach her. This is what I said to Chantel. We're going to read a few more and then we're going to close out. What a rich opportunity, Martine. And you're never in a 90-minute session. Just get over yourself. So Chantel, I said to you and others, this country has a very complex and contradictory relationship with sexuality, sexual identity, and sexual expression. We are humans, and part of our humanity is curiosity and exploration as sexual beings. I engaged in sex play as a child with boys and with girls. I also had the experience of being sexually violated starting at the age of 3. My sexual expression and exploration was tainted by the heavy burden of sexual molestation. If we weren't so caught up with sexual expression being nasty when children are exploring, then everyone would be better off. Also, with the stain of our enslavement as Black people, like I was saying earlier, the level of shame, confusion, I said confusion twice, is exacerbated. We all need healing and relearning. And Anna wanted to know, how do we help the molesters? How do we give them a forum to address their unhealthy desires? Martine, you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. One of my principles is that we don't judge. We take action. There's actually an organization similar to mine who is all about prevention, but they also have some serious funding, and they go into the jails and they try to rehabilitate the molesters. That's a very, very good point, because there's a large percentage of predators that were also molested themselves, right?
Absolutely.
So they're coming from the victim space. So yes, and I'm telling you, everything is about the dollar. But I can send you guys, I'll do a post on Facebook on how you can get with them or donate to them. But that definitely, I partner with people because that's something that's near and dear to my heart too. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I also want to point out, definitely in the carceral system, there are, when they do research, most of the folks that are in the carceral system, incarcerated, have experienced different levels of trauma. Sexual trauma is included in that. And we don't even know the half on the statistics of those who are predatory and engage in these activities. A lot of folks don't report, a lot of folks don't get caught. And then there's a nuance. I personally feel, I'm not asking y'all to join me, and I don't know what Martine's position is on it, but we're living in a culture now where men that are much older are seeking out these much younger women. And even though they're adult young women, they're just coming out of adolescence, just fully developed in their brain matter, because that doesn't happen until you're 25. And it's a weird dynamic to me, that how this works. And I question even the men in my family. I'm like, what is this? When you're 50 years old and you're going with a 25-year-old, yeah, she's grown, but yo, what is up with that?
And that's as old as time. I mean, just think about song lyrics. Backstage, underage, there's always this fascination with this. And so, yeah, I feel like those people, they're like, well, it's legal now, right?
Yeah.
I'm not R. Kelly because it's legal, but what is the intention behind it? Yeah,
It's
I agree
wild.
with you to a point.
Yeah, very, very nuanced. You have the contact information for Andrea who wants to be in connection with you. We also have Chantel who dropped in. Check out this week's Wake Up lineup, and that has your bio in it so people can click the link. So just moving through all these powerful shares. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all for just being the Woo family, showing up as you do, fully engaged and willing to share. All right.
If I may, I really, because Chantel had her hand up, and if I
Oh,
know
yes.
well, please, Chantel. And one thing I want to say is I went to a cord cutting ceremony, and Touch the Rebellion was one of the cords I was contemplating cutting.
Yes, so that's what I wanted to say, just how amazed I am and proud I am of you being here and having a whole session on this. And Martine was like ready to give up last week, ready to give it all up. And we had such a fruitful conversation on all of the other things she could be doing. And here you are soliciting help from the community, and we're all rallying behind you, giving you the resources that we can offer to rebel so you don't have to give up. So you don't have to do it on your own. And even in that conversation, you found that there was support right where you are, speaking to Xavier and in those networks. So using your voice is going to continue to drive this mission. And, you know, like I said last week, what would we do without you? There's some child that needs your voice to speak up for them. And your 9-year-old self is speaking up for them as well. So there's so much behind it. And for me, it's a reminder for when I want to give up. And I say this in our cord cutting sessions that I get nervous. I feel like, what's the purpose? I'm not changing anyone's lives. Nothing's happening. And so that gave way for you to be here and to have your breakthrough, and more people are going to have their lives changed. So it's a ripple effect. And for us finding our purpose, standing in it and believing in it, even when it feels like it's something you can't believe in. This is just such a fruitful conversation and reminder to me and everyone else here, you know, like, to keep going, and you're not alone. The community is right behind you, and we want to know how we can help you.
I love y'all.
Now complete.
Hey, thank you, Shan. All right, we're gonna while Martine sprinkles us with her tears, we gonna close out. And if anybody needs some follow-up support, like support after this session, please do not hesitate. We are here to cover and support and co-create with one another space for healing. So don't leave here and feel like you have to be alone with whatever you're carrying, because you do not. That would be a choice if you did that, not a requirement. So contact information for my beloved sister. You want to carry on with this?
Yes, you can reach me by telephone at 713-929-9971. My Facebook page is shameful. Where's Arian? I need help with it, but you can go check it out and see my efforts at touch.the-rebellion. That's the Facebook. And my email is info.touchtherebellion@gmail.com. You can use any of these to call me for support. Call me if you want to volunteer. Call me if you want a parent pack, especially. Text me, email me, and I'll send you a parent pack for now. Love offerings and donations. This is really, really important on today, because usually I pay myself a little something. All the donations today are going to go to Touch the Rebellion and Spirit of a Woman. Please, it is so important. I think I have to check now. When we were going through the slides earlier, I was like, did I set up? Because I chose to set up through my bank account because my card often gets compromised. So $25 a month, regardless, going to so every month is so important. You guys know money makes the world go round. So you can Zelle, QuickPay, Soul Leadership Development @gmail.com, Cash App, $ Spirit of a Woman. The Cash App link is there too. It's also in the chat. Everything is in the chat. And please use code #573MM, and those donations all are going to Touch the Rebellion today. We need your financial support because, again, money makes the world go round. Love offerings and donations can also be made monthly, and by automation, okay? New monthly automated love offerings. These links will right here, Shawnee just dropped them in the chat too. You can donate $25 a month, $50 a month, $75 a month, $100 a month. Well, y'all got $100 a month. But whatever makes you comfortable. And again, just my suggestion, if you want to donate an amount other than this, you can go into your bank and, do it on, make it like a bill. All you need is the information. Pay your tithes, Chantel says. Coming up next, the vibrant and beautiful Stacey McLean. On tomorrow, Wednesday, April 27th, Autism Awareness Wednesday with Stacey McLean. And then the GOAT, Shawnee Benton Gibson, on Thursday, April 28th, Spontaneity, the Real Superfood. Can't wait for that. I'm going to catch one of your sessions, Shawnee.
What?
Welcome.
You ain't in my sessions?
I don't think I like maybe only 2.
Oh,
I always
geez.
miss them. So I put it in my phone.
Thank
Welcome, new members. I saw a lot of new faces today and they shared. I don't know. It's been a while since I logged in. I'm trying to get back, graduations, proms and things. But welcome. Please come back. I think we're going to put in the link to how you can register to get a text notifications and be with us every morning. So welcome. Zakia, as always, newbies, y'all come back now, you're here. That's her thing. She should do that slide.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute. So schedule, for those who are new in the space, our schedule is that we are here in Wake Up Everybody from Sunday through Thursday. We have 3 short days and 2 short days, 3 long days. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, we're here from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. family. And then Monday and Wednesday, we're here from 7 to 7:30. But as you can see, some days we run longer because we run this shit and we get to choose. So it's all good. If you want an alert regarding the sessions so that you can get a link, type in 74121 in your phone, like that's our number, and then put in caps Woo Nation, and then we'll activate the automated texting so you can get reminders just before the session begins around 6:30ish something, so that you can jump in the space and participate. So please do join us. And Woo Swag, we have Woo Swag for the newbies. You can get a t-shirt, you can get a sweatshirt, you can get a water bottle, a tea or coffee cup, a sleeve for your laptop, a journal, a mask, all of that good stuff. So walking around the street and having a conversation piece, like, what does it mean, wake up everybody? It's like, yo, come up in here so that you can wake up and ascend. Thank you, everyone. Stay in touch. As you can see, we got to explore touch the rebellion, the movement, and we get an opportunity to do this 5 days a week and keep generating a reminder. Today was session number 573, and Martine blessed us today, and we have more and more and more to come. This space is here in perpetuity for our growth and development. So register for this week and next week and the weeks thereafter. Send information to a friend so that they can join, so that we can be growing and evolving together. bit.ly/wake up movement. You'll find the links in the chat for the Facebook private page and public page. Instagram, we're starting to load that up. I thank you to Stacey for getting us activated and ignited around that, and to Chantel for loading up some of our videos on YouTube so we can share our messages with the world. If you have ideas, if you want to volunteer, if you want to hang with us, and grow with us, info.wakeupseries@gmail.com is how you can reach out to us separately and get that going and flowing. So now we're going to stop, go into gallery view so that we can acknowledge our speaker for her awesomeness, Martine Malivers, and pour into her with love. And we're going to do that by doing our what do you call it? Now I can't think of
Love
it.
shower.
Love shower. Thank you.
Thank
My
you.
brain.
God bless
We
you.
love
Thank
you.
you,
Yes.
Martine.
You
Live
ain't going
long
nowhere. You
for
ain't
all
getting nothing with me. You
experience.
flowing.
Thank you.
Holy Ghost,
We
Thank you,
let
little
the waves
put
Martine.
them in the
flow
rug
on
and
here.
protect them.
We love
Bless
you.
us.
We
Thank you.
Chat was
You
popping today.
You are
have our
amazing. You
support.
are light.
Read the chat. Read the chat.
I will
Martine is
rest my
lit.
doubt to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Tonight on
So
this evening.
amazing. Thank you.
We're
You.
ready to
Yes.
help you, girl.
Thank you,
You're not
Eric. Thank you
alone.
so much.
How do I get a shirt?
Have a blessed day,
We love you,
everyone.
girl. That hair is laid. That
Send
hair
me a
laid.
shirt,
Thank
girl.
you.
I see it. It's
Who
like
said that? Drop in the chat if you
that.
want a shirt.
It's Shin. Give me a shirt.
Thank you.
I want a shirt too.
Bless you.
We love you.
Thanks for sharing your experience and being